Hi, I'm Doug Ross, editorial page editor at the Times, here with Crista Zivanovic, assistant managing editor, and U.S. Senator Joe Donnelly for a special edition of the NWI.com Political Roundtable for Monday, January 20th, 2014, MLK Day. So happy MLK Day to everybody, and we should probably start off our first topic probably ought to be civil rights. So
You know, it's such a special day. I happened to be in Little Rock, Arkansas a few weeks ago at Little Rock Central High School and walked in those steps where those 9 young children headed to go into school, and the Arkansas National Guard stopped them. 9 young African American children who would have been the first to ever go to Little Rock Central High School. And President Eisenhower then sent in the United States Army, the 101st Airborne Division, and said these children will go to school, they will have the opportunity like every other American. And Martin Luther King was fighting for them at that time. And when the first student graduated, Ernest Green, the next year, it was a difficult year, a difficult time. And he came out for the graduation, and there sitting in the crowd, he had driven all night, was Martin Luther King to cheer him on. And so he has always provided this country with an aspirational goal to reach to, somebody who you look at and go, he sacrificed his life for us. And so we can use that lesson to try to make a better, stronger country for everyone.
okay, here we are 50 years after President Johnson declared the war on poverty. Where do you see the U.S. headed are we winning, are we losing? What do you see happening in the next?
We've made progress, but we need to continue to move forward, and a big key of that is education. That almost everything economically is directly related to your educational level, and we want every child in this country to have the chance to have an exceptional education. And when you do, all the doors of America open up to you. We've seen the poverty level go down. We want to see it continue down even further. A good, strong economy will help with that.
Okay, and obviously jobs is the big issue. I think
Right.
that's probably one of your main concerns.
It is. In the upcoming year, our goal is to continue to drive the unemployment level down even further, add more jobs to our economy. And so we see the economy in a position where we can have significant success, we hope. We need to continue to improve our educational skills. We need to improve our health outcomes here in Indiana. We're ranked in the 40s on that. And so those are the kind of building blocks that when businesses look, they go, very skilled people, good health outcomes, a talented workforce. Those are the kind of things that employers look for and will continue to grow our economy when they see.
Senator, you had talked about the CEO of AT&T, who's now head of the National Business Roundtable, talking about certainty. So can you add that and maybe talk a little bit about the goal in Congress of tax reform and
Sure.
maybe that being another element of moving the country forward with job growth and investment?
Well, one of the things we've seen recently, and knock on wood, we hope it continues, is we've been able to reach a budget agreement in a bipartisan way. We believe that we'll be able to reach a farm bill agreement here in the very near future. And so you have a long-term path of certainty for businesses so they can understand here's what the rules are going to be, here's where the roadmap is. And as of right now, we have a record amount of cash sitting on the sidelines for our private businesses. They want to invest. And by being able to turn some of these things on, them seeing cooperation, them seeing things function much better, we're hoping that this investment will continue, will actually significantly increase, and more investment means more jobs. And tax reform plays into that as well.
I'm glad you said roadmap, because one of the things I wanted to talk about is roads. It's been a while since the U.S. has had a long-term highway bill. What's happening?
I am hopeful. The signs indicate to me that we could put a 5-year highway bill together this year. It will probably be later in the year, more towards the summer, but that I think now that we've seen the budget come together, now that we've seen a farm bill come together, the next logical thing is to have a 5-year highway bill. And when we do, we can make those investments necessary to reduce the amount of potholes, to fix a Klein Avenue, to do the kind of things that are necessary to grow our infrastructure here in the United States and especially here in Indiana.
Now, you were talking earlier about the potholes and the conditions of the roads. Why don't you tell about your experiences? You know, you commute back to Washington.
Right.
How's the commute?
Well, it was interesting because it was on the Chicago or the Illinois side of the line, but I had it was going back very early one morning, and right after we got onto the Skyway, there were huge chuck holes and potholes all over it, and right after we crossed the toll there, 5 cars were pulled over to the side with flat tires, and I'd never seen that many at one time. But five cars, and every single one of them, I was wondering if something had happened, but I looked, and you could see the flat tires on every single car. And something's wrong when we're in a place where we can't even maintain the roads we have so that people can drive safely. What you're also looking at is not only the flat tire, but it's a tremendous safety risk. You can have broken axles, a car can veer out of control, and so at the very most, or at the very least, these are very, very important safety issues that we need to maintain our infrastructure. And one of the cornerstones for me this year is to get a highway bill done and to move forward on our infrastructure.
Okay.
We had the same thing happen on Klein Avenue a week ago Sunday, and they had to close down Klein Avenue because we had the same sort of flat tires and axle issues, and the state finally had to close it down and do some emergency pothole fixing. And I wondered if you could just speak a little bit to maybe in Indiana, even with our own funds, not just with the federal highway fund, highway bill, what we could or should be doing.
Well, we have a road in Klein Avenue that's a critical artery here in Northwest Indiana, and has been closed in part for years now, and it makes no sense at all. Look, we sold the toll road and received $3.8 billion, and at the time, a few years ago, it was said that Klein Avenue would cost $133 million to fix. It's critical to Northwest Indiana's economy. We have $3.8 billion in toll road funds. A small portion of that should have been used to fix Klein Avenue, to get it squared away, so that good, hardworking people don't have to pay a toll to ride on the road every day, that you should be able to have the same kind of access to highways as everyone else in our state does, and to not have to pay tolls like that. And so I am very hopeful and will continue to push the message that we have $2 billion plus surpluses in the state. We've received $3.8 billion for the toll road. Somewhere, at some point, we have to invest in our own so that as we look at our children and our children's children, we don't take advantage of them by not keeping up the same type of infrastructure that we were able to have.
Well, we're talking, speaking of infrastructure, we're talking 2 big missing pieces other than the Klein Avenue bridge. We're talking about the Ileana Expressway and the South Shore extension. So what do you think?
Well, I think the South Shore extension continues to move forward. It's been a very, very strong project of Pete Visklosky and the people here, and we've been very supportive of the South Shore extension. And I said on the Ileana Expressway, I wanted to wait to hear what the local community said, and we just saw recently the vote that took place, and so that was a pretty strong indicator of the desire to move forward with that.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm afraid that's all the time we have. This has been a special edition of the NWI.com Political Roundtable with Crista Zivanovic and Senator Joe Donnelly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.